Good morning and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace and I wanted to welcome you to Fight CPS with me and to help save your children. This is a special day today. We are honoring our veterans. Happy Memorial Day to all you veterans out there, and thank you for serving our country and protecting it and make it so that we're free. You've encountered a situation which, with the government agency, has turned out to be a hardship on your life. You've suddenly been overwhelmed and are facing the fact that your family is interrupted, your children are taken unnecessary, and you're dealing with a very corrupt agency. I've been there too. It happened to me starting in 2010. Um, I want to go over the couple things about how you can interact with this live podcast. One way is that you can text in a comment, um, and the only thing I ask is that when you share your comment with CPS, whether it's a question or not, is that you include your name, city, state, or country, and be very complete with your CPS case so I can help you. I have a co-host. She hasn't shown up yet, but she should be coming on shortly. So when you type in your comment, just make sure it pertains to CPS, and I'll, I will help you with your matter. Um, it's a very hard thing that you're going through, and I do feel for you. Um, this is a day of remembrance, but it's also a day that we need to keep our children and keep our families together. Um, you all have come together because of you found something in within somebody else, and you have beautiful children that you've created, and you love your children. Um, so that is really what you hear there. Um, I am trying my best to do this performance today. It's really hard because I have background interference and no respect. The thing that I wanted to tell you all is that you're not alone. I've been there. I know what you're going through. It really is really, really, really bad. And so I want you all to do your best and try to listen and so I can help you. A second way that you can interact with this podcast is to call in. I have an office number 626-698-0990, and you're welcome to call in on that number during the show time. My show times, I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time for an hour, and 7 o'clock at night, Pacific Standard Time for an hour. Um, every Sunday, it's a little bit different. Sunday morning, I'm on at 8 o'clock in the morning instead of 10. That's Pacific Standard Time. So those are 14 podcasts that I do. And my goal in these shows is to help you all learn from mistakes that I may have made and mistakes of others, and get your children back or keep your family together. Nothing's more important than your children and so forth. So that's the second way. First way was to do comments. And when I mention country, there are countries that have texted a message in here of problems that they're having. It seems like it's a worldwide epidemic. Even read an article about the terrorist group ISIS is having trouble with their children, and it's a worldwide epidemic. It's all because of greed of money. It is corrupt. The whole purpose of why they do this is so that they can make money off you. It's a $50 billion business. It's really tough. Now, a third way to interact with the podcast, you can be a guest on my podcast. All you have to do is email my producer who works behind the scenes. She does a marvelous job. I want to thank Grace, who is my producer, for all that she does. She can be reached by email. Um, um, you would just schedule your event with her, and it's Grace at VincentWDavis.com. Grace at VincentWDavis.com. And she can be reached. Um, and you just tell her you want to be on the morning show or the evening show, and you want to be on Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's 14 shows for you to pick from. So that's the third way. Your comments, your phone call, and your schedule to be on later show are three ways to interact with this podcast. I'm not an attorney. I am very experienced in dealing with CPS because I had the case myself, a horrible case with horrible consequences. And I don't mean to sound so dreary, especially on Memorial Day. Memorial Day is, visit our loved ones that have lost their lives defending our country. All the branches of the military I salute. The first responders I salute too. They go out there, ambulance drivers and paramedics and so forth, firemen, police and so forth, that put their life on the line. And it's really appreciative, all the men and women that have done so. That pretty much takes care of interacting with this podcast. I'll leave my phone number up there so you can call in. Also, I'd like to recognize the man that produces this podcast, his law firm. It's Vincent W. Davis, and Vincent W. Davis and Associates is the law firm. He is a dependency lawyer with over 35 years of experience. He knows how to fight CPS, and he has gotten back children. He defended me when I hired him and helped me get my kids back. Right now, you can call in. Well, not right now, but you can call in at 888-888-6582 and schedule a time to talk to him. He tells me to make sure that everyone knows that they can contact him. And he is a good man to talk to. He knows his things. He can practice law in all the states of the country. He does do cases out of state. He's in Southern California. But he too knows the pitfalls and the sadness of CPS. It's the most troublesome agency that I know of, worse than IRS. And I hate to say it, they're very corrupt. So corrupt that 8 social workers in Prescott, Arizona, who were CPS social workers, decided to think it was funny or fun or whatever reason they were doing this. But they made pink t-shirts, and on the front of the t-shirts it said professional kidnappers. Now, the kid was separated from the nappers part, so it's emphasizing your children. And then on top of that, on the back of the shirt, they said, parents, do you know where your children are at? Now, that's a hard statement for people to accept or understand, that that, there are a group of individuals, professional individuals with over 25 years of social service work in the child protection system. They call their system Arizona DCS, Department of Child Services. But when I say CPS, the Child Protection System, I mean everywhere that there is a branch of CPS workers. They're supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse, but also to do family reunification. The idea is not to destroy a family. I mean, this agency that is, mandated by the government, the Congress there, to protect our children through neglect and abuse, but also to do family reunification, meaning the best parents for children are the biological parents. Now, some of you may be divorced or separated or had a child out of wedlock, but the proven studies have shown that the best parents to raise children are the biological parents. So if you can put your differences aside and think about the child, which is best for them, I know many parents are using CPS to alienate their children. I mean, it's bad enough the agency alienates the children from the parents and forces them into foster care. They do trafficking. They do child trafficking legally, which is wrong. You don't traffic children for the purpose of getting money or the purpose of having them being in more danger in the foster care system. The foster care system has a lot of weaknesses in it, and it has alternative motives where some parents think it's important for them to adopt the kids, and it's wrong. It's a bad system. Usually, adoption takes a long period of time, a lot of money, and it doesn't happen overnight. But in the child protection system, it happens overnight. They supposedly got foster care parents trained and educated that supposedly know the best interest for the child. But from my personal experience, that wasn't the case. My youngest son was banged in the head because he took communion the wrong way. He also was punished in his room excessively times. At the group home, he was punished for drinking too much orange juice. Those are things that I just don't understand. How things are like that. But anyway, I am talking badly of CPS. I don't mean to, but I've had only one social worker on the show talk, or one social worker I knew that was in here. And it was a nice lady. She was from Maryland. She said that she's been doing it for 6 years, that she had a college degree in clinical psychiatry, and they uh, did some additional training with her at Maryland. Now, I've talked to other people in Maryland, that wasn't the case. And I wish I could talk to more social workers. I know you're out there, I know you listen, and I know you mean well, but the problem being is that we see too many cases of the pink ladies who paraded around in their city in Prescott, Arizona in 2022 and showed off how they were professional kidnappers and parents. You know where your children are. It's a sad thing when you have corruption within our government. Um, A year later, the governor of Arizona was still seeing problem with the CPS system because of the racial disparities that plagued the child welfare system. The child welfare system has long been investigating families in disproportionality to other races. They say 1 in 3 black children in Metro Phoenix face a DC investigation just recent 5-year period. But the black family has increased. There's so much that you can find on the internet. The internet is your key to successfully defend your case. You need to be a fighter. You need to be educated and not give up or to have disparity. Um, there's no answer. This has been going on. Uh, well, they say the history of child protection services goes back to the colonial period when our 13 colonies were being formed. There was a case in the early 1600s of a man that was punished because of abusing children. And then they divided into 3 periods. The first period is from the colonial time of 1600s to 1875. The second period was 1875 to the year 1962. And then the third period is from 62 to the present. And you find out they've been dealing with a long time. It's just that recently there's more activity this time, and also there's still very much corruption. It's sad how corrupt CPS has become. I view CPS as you're an Alice in Wonderland story. You're out in the garden, you've fallen in the rabbit hole, and now you're going into different rooms and going nowhere. Stupid things like off with your head and different doors open to nothing. That's what CPS is. It's an agency gone out of control. And like I said, the pink ladies that wore the t-shirts, professional kidnappers. And parents, do you know where your children are at on the back of their t-shirt? Paraded so proudly in stores in Prescott. Now they were fired, but does that stop the wonder or the feeling you are with everybody that's involved in CPS, the trusted? They're so deceitful that you don't trust them. You don't. They do revenge. I know firsthand. My daughter at age 12 was trafficking into the foster care system. She was brainwashed by the social worker. And when my wife's sister was trying to adopt her, and we didn't want her to be adopted because she was fine with us, but she lied, and the social worker lied. And when the social worker lost and looked embarrassing in court, she retaliated and she told us parents she'll never see her daughter again. So she instructed our daughter to change your name, to divorce your parents, your family, and to seal your birth certificate and be adopted into foster care. And she did all this at age 12. Now, I know that at age 12, you don't know all these things, especially to seal a birth certificate. And to divorce your parents is a sad thing. She's 21 now, And we still have not seen her or recuperate with her. We still miss her, still love her dearly. And she's still family to us, even though she may have a different name. She's left her foster care people because they turned out sour on her. We've heard from our sons who still see her. We encourage her to see her sister, even though she's divorced from both parents and her brothers, and her grandfathers and grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles. When you're divorced completely, and it's sad that they allow a child at 12 to make that decision. And it shouldn't be that decision. There's a lot going on in their teenage years. I feel that, 18 is a lot better if you want to divorce your parents. And it's sad because the parents spend a lot of their time sacrificing so much to raise children. I know from experience. I know. And it's really discouraging and disparaging what is going on there. Another way to look at CPS is it's like a giant spider, and it's weaving a web around you and drawing you in. They are terrible. They will lie to your face. They'll retaliate. You know, they go in the neighborhood searching for uh, children. I mean, they're so corrupt. Almost every state I've talked to, over 500 people. I hear it all the time. I hear it from Arkansas. Miss Lewis was on the show, and she told me about her cases and so forth. It's for real. The real scenarios out there, and I know it's hard. I'm a loving, caring father and a husband. We've been married for 32 years, but our case hurt us. In 2010, I lost my job through no fault of my own. I was age 60. That's a hard thing to swallow if you worked all your life since you're 15. And then at age 60, you um, can no longer work. And it was a combination of errors that hindered me down. I had over $53 million in work and contracts in construction with the state of California. And the governor was faced with the fact he needed money. So he put my construction projects on hold and wrote me IOUs that we guarantee you'll do the job, but right now we can't start them, and so we can't pay you. Well, I tried to go get a credit line for IOUs, but the banks, they were bad shape as it was. They were giving out predatory loans in 2007 and 8 and 9, and so when the banks collapsed because of the way they're giving out loans, they're really hesitant about helping out at all. Rates are really high now. It was a shame because rates were at 0% for cars, that you could buy a car at 0% rate. Anyway, it is a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do. To deal with an agency that uses police and deception. And they have no respect for your constitutional or civil rights. They'll violate them. When they hear a alleged complaint of abuse or neglect from a layperson, I mean the people that are like your family, friends, relatives, in-laws, like in my case, they believe it's true, and it's you're guilty until you're proven innocent. Every other court of law, you're innocent till you're proven guilty. And that's the sad thing about it. They don't want to help you. They just want to make that $20,000 per child per month to support their workers in forms of bonuses that do the work that they expect to do, which is to traffic our children, to put them in foster care with no hopes of return. It is sad. It is so sad. I don't mean to be talking like that on Memorial Day, but it's sad. And my case was really tough. For 5 years, I had to endure these false allegations, and I kept disproving them. To in 2015, in May, they used deception. They enlisted the help of the local police, who in turn um, followed me. A detective did, and then he called a black and white to pull me over, and they came up with a fake traffic violation. Instead, when the black and white who was going the other direction turned around, I knew there was something going on. And so when the detective said to me in a threatening gesture, "You're coming to your home," and I should have, I did not know that you need a warrant. You cannot come into your home. I don't have to listen to him. All you can say is that if I've done a crime, arrest me. If I've done a traffic violation, write the violation. I need to move on. And I did not know all the laws. It's not, you guys are in the same way too. So when I followed them to my home, somehow Child Protection Agency had three workers for them, three workers, two code enforcement, five firemen, two uniformed policemen, and of course the detective. All were there threatening and making your life feel really like you'd done something horrible. I thought maybe my house had burned down or there's a burglar or something. I live in a private neighborhood with rules, CC&Rs. It was a nice home. It was a beautiful home. Had a walk-in rock swimming pool with a grotto jacuzzi and waterfalls cascading in the background. Different kinds of gardens, like an English garden on one side and a tropical jungle and back right around the pool. And of course, I had a dog run for Siberian Huskies on the other side. Yes, I am live, Ward. Do you hear me okay? Do you hear my voice, Ward? Am I coming through right now? Um, Welcome around the bench. I know you've been on it before, and I forgot what city and town you're from. How can I help you, Ward? How can I help you? How can I help you? Do you just want to listen, Ward? I'll continue on with my story. I'm talking about my case and how they use deception stuff. And I did not know that you don't need to talk to police or social workers, that you're right. You can mention that you have an attorney. You may not have one, but you can say you do, and that you like to speak to them before they go much further. That's okay, Ward. I understand that. I understand that. And hopefully your throat will get better. What city and state are you from, Ward? Where are you from in this world? Hmm. Huh. Okay, you live in Ada, Oklahoma. However, my case originated in Sulphur, Oklahoma, Murray County. Okay, I don't know much about that county. You're the first person that's called me from that area, Oklahoma. I've had two or three calls from Oklahoma. And what is happening in your case? Where are you at in your case? Are you just starting it? Or you have gone? Are your children taken from you? What are the allegations? You're 7 months in. Oh boy. They're swallowing you up, I bet. They're swallowing you up. If you're 7 months in there, so what are the allegations? And were your children in extreme danger and they had to take them? Were they extreme danger and they had to be taken? Now, as I explained to you that how my case came into play is I allowed them into my home, which you don't want to do. You don't want to allow them in your home. They have to have a court order. And if they're allowed in your home, they're going to do some weird searching. They will go into bedrooms and search through your drawers and stuff. And you really don't want to go there. You really don't. But my case got worse and worse. On the day that they came to, investigate my home, they picked up my children from school and said they were extreme danger. Now, I don't know what danger they're experiencing in school. And I know that my home didn't put my kids in extreme danger. Their bedrooms were safe, clean. Each of them had their own bedrooms, own bathroom. They were fed, they're well schooled, and they were great kids, but they wanted to destroy me. And the thing I rationalize is that when you are down and you're low income, they take advantage of people like that. Also, when you maybe not smart enough to know about a lawyer and don't have a lawyer representing you, they will take you in and they'll eat you alive. They don't care. They don't care if you're a senior, an elder, a parent, or a grandparent. They don't like grandparents at all. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear your dad's not a good person. And my God, I know how hard it is to be homeless. I mean, I fought CPS and had to sell my home to hire an attorney. And on top of that, I lost my home. My home I worked for 40 years. I lost it. I lost my home. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Oh boy. He hated your oldest child. Why was you feeling that way? That's so hard. He's your dad. You love your dad. You wouldn't go there to live with your family. I just don't understand parents sometimes. So my case got worse and worse. They accused me of neglect, and the only neglect they could come up with is that the belongings that my parents were dying and they were selling their home, and they asked me to take their belongings and sort them and pack them and send them off to family and relatives. So it took 4,000 square feet of their belongings, 55 years of marriage, to my home. And because I had the boxes and the furniture stacked down below, they thought that that could hurt the children or connect. They weren't in their bedrooms. Their bedrooms were like their own castle, and they could sleep and play in their bedrooms. They were clean. There's nothing wrong with their bedrooms. And it was a sad state of exercise because all they wanted was the $20,000 per child per month. That's $60,000 every month they're getting just from our family. And that's from the state there. That sounds great. A mini camping. and sleeping in a tent. Oh boy. I see nothing wrong with sleeping in a tent or having a mini camping trip. Oh, your oldest son and your dad have a history, unfortunately, and that worked against you. So CPS got involved. That's sad, Ward. Um, sounds like you're a caring man. Where is the mother in your relationship? Is the mother with you, or something happened to her, or she's separated, or what? What's the story about the mother? Wow. Who called CPS? I wonder. Was it your dad called CPS? Someone would have to call CPS. So someone that doesn't like you that wants to retaliate. Was the children's mother involved, or is she no longer around? Right now, for all you listeners out there, I'm talking to a man um, who has his children, I think four of them, and um, two of them are stepchildren. And this has been going on for 7 months. His case, he's from Ada, Oklahoma, but his case originated in Sulphur, Oklahoma, Murray County. And now CPS is asked why the kids, where the kids were sleeping. My dad told them straight out that they were sleeping in the damn tent over there. The mother and I are still together, actually, but is the mother helping out? Does the mother is helping out? Does she have relatives that you all can stay with until you get your housing worked out or something like that? I know it's hard to talk about your story, Ward. I know you'd rather be voicing, but you're doing fine. You're doing fine. When there's pause between your statements, I'm going to keep talking about other things. I have a rule number three that I talk about, and we talked about briefly at the start of my podcast here, and that is you say no to social workers and police. You don't need to talk to them. You do not need to talk to them, and especially you don't say much. You can say yes, no answers, and if it gets too uncomfortable, then you can sit there and say, "I need to speak to my attorney before we go much further. I'll get back to you." All you need to do is get their business cards. If you don't have business cards, get their badge number, and the social workers will have an ID and make sure you get the name because they will lie. If they accept only what they tell you, they'll lie if you see them again. Oh, you moved into a 3 bedroom, 2 bath home. That's great. That is great. I'm glad to hear that, Ward. I'm glad to hear that. So, are you taking parenting classes or program classes? Um, what is your case plan tell you need to do? What's your case plan tell you have to do? Now, how did they prove you didn't give him meals or domestic? Did you and your wife fight in front of the children? Being homeless is not a crime. Being homeless is not a crime. And what kind of medical neglect? Do you refuse to take them to a doctor? Do you have all that? It sounds like they're in a vendetta posture. Someone has to be calling them to tell them about the allegations that doesn't like you. And I think it's probably your dad. It's your dad's calling CPS and using silly CPS to alienate you from your children. That's sad. That really is sad. Well, if you have domestic violence, it's best to separate. I know that that does help out there. So you do have a lawyer. Well, that is good. Is this lawyer a public defender or attorney that you're paying for? Or maybe a pro bono attorney that you found that doesn't charge for his services or his time? So my case went on for 3 years, and it wasn't until I hired an attorney, Vincent Davis, that I got my boys back. I did lose my daughter, though. I told you that earlier why. And maybe if I had hired an attorney right away. But rule number three is you don't talk to socials, you don't let them in your home, and you don't let them take your children. They have to have a legal document called a warrant that specifically outlines what they can do and what they can't do. Oh boy. But is this a attorney that you hired, or was it because it's the public defender? She prosecuted CPS. Well, that's not, that's a good, okay, a court appointed. That's what I thought. Anytime you use a court appointed attorney, you have to understand they're not really there to fight your case. They only do there, they do very little. They're on the side of CPS. They're corrupt. They're friends with the social worker attorneys, the child attorneys, the judge, um, and they all go out to dinner or play golf or something. And then on top of that, they want to get the case over as quick as they can. So they're not going to be a fighter. They're not going to fight. So when you have a court appointed attorney, they're just going to go through it, the motions, and they'll try to get your case over. So I found out that a court appointed attorney, they have clients, 30 clients at one time, and there's no way they have enough time for them. They won't see you outside the hearing of the time in court. They only seem to have time to see you when you're in court, and that's the time you need to talk to them. Oh my God, you have quite a nightmare there. Wow. Yeah, word around the block just said the original CPS investigator that took the children, I found out today, is related to my aunt, who is married to my uncle, my dad's brother. So you're working the whole thing there. Um, Finishing up rule number three is you don't allow them in your home. They have to have a court order that specifically says that. So whatever you do, say no. Don't let them take your children, and don't allow them in the home. It's your rights. It's your constitutional rights. Yes, it is a conflict. There is definitely a conflict in your case, Ward. What you need to do is you need to get to my rule number one. You need to find an attorney. To find a good attorney to fight your case, you don't have money. You have to get what's called a pro bono attorney that does it for no charge. But it's hard because they're not around as much, and you need to find a good one because there are some bad ones. Some say that there's bad attorneys as well as good attorneys. And how you phrase your question is, um, you said that you're in. Uh, okay, what you need to do is you need to find in Sulphur and the next biggest city, maybe it's Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, a pro bono dependency attorney. You need to find an attorney that is a dependency attorney. And you want to find pro bono. So you want to word it. Find in Sulphur and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, a pro bono dependency attorney. And then hopefully a group of names will appear. You want to hopefully can find 10. If only 5 shows, and that's 5 you work with. And so what you're going to do is you're going to pick 10, and you're going to call 10, and you're going to find out if they're open. I'll be on tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think you're on middle time. I think you're 2 hours ahead of me in Oklahoma. So I think it'll be 9 o'clock your time. 9 o'clock your time. Because I think you're on Central Time. I think you're on Central Time. And, that'd be good. We can talk more easier than that is on there. But to find an attorney, you want to find in you're the city or county, and then the next biggest city, and then your state, and then you want to say the word pro bono, and then you want to say dependency attorney. That's the kind of attorney you want. And when you get that list of 10, you're going to call all 10. The first question is to determine whether they're in business. And if they answer the phone, then that's a good sign. Then you want to ask them if they're pro bono. You don't want to waste time if they want to charge money and so forth. Then after you answer that question, pro bono, are they dependency? Do they have dependency attorneys? Have they fought independent court, dependency court? Because they're dealing with CPS. Also, you want to ask them, have they fought CPS? Have they got children home? Have they also done a civil lawsuit or a state lawsuit against CPS? Those answers are very important because you're trying to determine the best attorney around. Thank you, Word. But as you call them and talk to all 10, I want you to add one more attorney to your list. His name is Vincent W. Davis, and he can be reached at 888-888-6582. And he has 35 years business as a dependency lawyer, attorney, and he has fought CPS. He's also done lawsuits against civil matters too, and he's won. He's gotten the children back. He's a trial attorney. And he's one of the 5 that you're going to do a consultation. After you determine the questions are answered, they have fought CPS, then they've gotten children back, and they've done the lawsuits, civil lawsuits against CPS. And you've determined that they would work for free and so forth. Then you're going to do what's called consultation with 5 of them. And one of the 5 will be Vincent W. Davis. Now, Vincent charges $60 for 30 minutes, $60 for 30 minutes. And he'll talk to you about your case. He'll help you navigate and strategize how to fight CPS and get your children back or keep your children. So he's a good attorney to contact. He can reach at 888-888-6582. And you want to tell him that Bob Pace sent you when you talk to him on that number. And then when you talk to Mr. Davis, you want to tell him that Bob Pace sent you. It's really important. So there's your first attorney I got you. And he will go to other states. It's just that he charges transportation, the car rental and the airplane, and he charges the accommodation that he's going to stay at. Those are the fees on top of his normal retainer. Whether you do the case in California or Arizona, it all depends um, of the case, the complexity of the case, and how long the case has been going on. So when you talk to all 5 of the 10 attorneys you found, you want to compare notes and see which one you have the chemistry with. And again, Mr. Davis, his consultation is $60 for 30 minutes. $60 for 30 minutes. So that rule number 1, you need an attorney. And why did I say that? Well, if you can picture open heart surgery, if you need work done on your heart, are you going to cut open your chest and work on your heart? Are you going to have an automobile mechanic work on your heart? Are you going to have a plumber work on your heart? No, you get a professional doctor that's gone to medical school, that's done an internship, that's mentored other doctors before he starts doing heart surgery. The same thing is true about CPS. You have to be with a fighter against them. You have to trust the person that represents you, because CPS is corrupt and they will keep your child and lie to you about it. So I want you to find that attorney and get your kids back. That's what you need to do. Um, so far, I've talked about rule number 1, and I talked about rule number 3 about not leaving your home or take your children and so forth. Don't forget, medical trafficking is another thing that CPS does. If your kids need medical help in the middle of the night and you need to go to emergency care for them, there are now CPS workers working in hospitals that will take your children because you may have told the doctor, I want to see my pediatrician, or I want a second opinion before I do that procedure. You are actively seeking to help your children, so that should not be a criteria by them. That's wrong what they do. It's very, very wrong what they do. It's called intimidation. They're intimidating you so bad. They're intimidating you so bad. Also, another scenario in medical trafficking is that you just gave birth to your child and the CPS will march in the hospital room and take them. You don't do that. They have to have a court warrant. You need to tell them to get out of the room and that you want to nurse your baby. No need to have evil people around you. No need for that. So that leaves me with the third rule. The third rule is the paper rule. It's the one that deals with how to keep track of everything. Your case may be a year, 2 or 3 years, so you're going to need to keep track of it. I recommend a 6-inch thick binder with 3 rings in it. and stuff it full of college rule notebook paper, maybe 500 sheets. And then buy some subject tabs, and you want to label the tabs. And one of the most important tabs is your incident tab. That's where events that may have happened to you or your family or in your home, whatever, that you record the information. So you put the date and time of the incident, the people that involved the incident. You could say 4 girls or 4 children and 2 policemen and so forth. So after you've written down the date and time, you want to put down the people involved in your incident, the police, the social workers, the neighbor, whatever it was. Then the next line is you want to describe the incident. And you want to be complete about describing the incident because you have to look at that a year from then later and you'll have to recognize what it is. Then you want to put the outcome. And that's a couple lines there. You may not know the outcome at this time, so you have to fill it in later. Then skip a couple lines for the next incident. Skip a couple lines for the next incident. So that you're filling up that tab with incidents and times of what's happening in your case. Um, so you might want to use highlighters, uh, yellow markers, and pink markers are really helpful. So is orange, and you get to highlight things. Also, between each instant, you skip some lines so you can refer comments back to it. Now, another subject tab could be a list of all your information on your CPS information, meaning websites, phone numbers, agency that you contact or know of. That should be in your next subject matter there. And of course, you have lots of subjects, so you can have one for all your paperwork. They're in court. You can punch holes in them and put them in your notebook. This way, you'll have a CPS notebook that is pretty impressive. So try that out. That should work on the paper end of things. Now, I'm slowly getting close to the end of my show, my podcast. I want to thank Ward around the bench from Oklahoma. He has a hard case because he deals with a lot of politics. You know, it looks like family members are involved, and it's one of those cases where he needs to get a professional attorney, not the court appointed attorney. But I'll see you tonight, Ward, at 9 o'clock your time, 7 p.m. my time, because that's my next show there, on there. Um, Again, I want to thank you for taking the time to write all your comments and everything. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and wish you again a happy Memorial Day. God bless all the veterans and first responders. And God bless you all. And keep fighting for your kids. Never give up. I'll see you tonight at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. This is Bob Pace signing